Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. Before we meet today's guest, we want to give a shout out to our podcast partners, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, We Coach, the Florida Coaches Coalition, and the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. These four great organizations should be a part of your network. So reach out to them, connect, see what they can do for you. And now, don't hit that fast forward button. I'm watching you. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes as we acknowledge our sponsors. These are all great companies that I used as an athletic director or as a coach. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. They are the official social media graphic solution for the podcast, and their team can help you start creating world-class content for your school's social media channel. It's so easy. Even I can do it. Your kids are on social media. You should be too. Promote your team, celebrate your athletes. Go to Gipper.com. Mention this podcast. You'll get a nice discount. That's Gipper.com. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school's record boards for all the teams, for all the events, showcase your school's Hall of Fame, or simply celebrate your school's proudest moments. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast. Guess what? You'll get a nice discount. Vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to our friends at Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to their highest level. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. Also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live web demo and see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and the customer service, just outstanding. That's sidelineinteractive.com. Make sure you check them out today. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Hometown is here to make the best online ticketing solution for you. We also want to say thanks to Snap Mobile. Are you tired of spending hours and hours with fundraisers that require too much time with no results? Stop right here. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. SnapRaise is hands down the best fundraising platform out there online. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches and our parents just loved it. What's more important, it actually works. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD. You'll find all kinds of powerful tools to help athletic directors like you do your job better. You'll also be entered for $1,500 drawing on your next fundraiser. That's snapraise.com. And we want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the exclusive high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for scheduling, for student athlete eligibility and clearance, and a whole lot more. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every single day, and it was just great. You'll like it too. Go to homecampus.com to get started. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Athletic directors already hear back from the complainers, which is usually about 2 or 3%. Athletic Surveys connect you with the 2%, but they also connect you with the 98% that supports your program. That's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. It's been a while, but we've got one of our favorites back, Dr. Cara Cocchiarella. Regular listeners will recognize that name, but if you're new, she's got an incredible background. She's a college athlete. She coached collegiately at the high school level. She was also an athletic director. Currently, she's a college professor at Clark College in Vancouver, Washington, where I proudly graduated when it was just a junior college a couple of years ago. She's also a very successful author, Winning Well. Check that out on Amazon, Winning Well. And she is a consultant. Win is the name of her business. And we'll give out all that contact information before we leave. But I call her Cara. Dr. Cara Cocchiarella, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thank you, Jake. Happy to be here.
For our listeners, we're recording this on October 24th. So you're listening to it the very next day. So Cara, welcome back. You and I were talking a lot before we started recording, but what do you have for our listeners this time on Wednesday Wisdom?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Jake, we had a great conversation before we hit record on this deal. There's just a lot spinning around in the culture and spinning around in my world in particular, and I know in the world of many of us in this sports leadership arena, around wellness. And as someone who teaches wellness for my day job on a daily basis, I think, there's just a lot about wellness that applies to every single one of us as humans. And there are some really unique needs that leaders have in relation to wellness, whether that be coaches or athletic directors. So just kind of wanted to talk a little about wellness today and specifically get into social wellness. Because there's quite a bit that's come up about that, whether that be in like Instagram feeds or, a daily email that I get each day, or just it's come up a lot. And so I just want to address some of those things. And so I guess just starting with wellness in itself is very much misunderstood. Wellness is super complex. It's holistic. And when we engage in wellness, it's a very authentic, individualized process. We're often sold this idea of wellness being physical and mental, which those are both very important. Our mental health, our physical health, incredibly important. Nobody's going to deny that. But in terms of what wellness actually is, that's a little short-sighted. Wellness itself can be used to proactively support people. And this is where I think there's a big distinction between what we're doing now with mental health and physical health. We tend to approach things really from a reactive standpoint of like, let's see if there's a problem. How do we resolve this problem? How can we help people prevent mental health crises? Or what can we do about suicide prevention? Again, all super important, but lacking a little bit in terms of the proactive things that we can do to support ourselves and one another. So we know we need to increase the awareness around wellness. When we do that, most people very quickly recognize how important it is. It's not complicated. It's just something that we've been taught different verbiage around wellness. And but it's really hard to use wellness if we aren't aware and haven't spent some time considering some of the options. So as you mentioned, I wrote a book about wellness for coaches and athletes, and we now have an online program associated with that book. And we utilize, and this is the same stuff I use in my college health classes. We utilize multidimensional models. So with our course, we have this kind of simplified 3 aspects model. In the book, we dive pretty deeply into 8 different dimensions. And really all of these efforts, again, that I didn't create this stuff. This was a collaboration. This is a collaboration of work from all sorts of experts over many, many years around wellness. But knowing that when we invest in holistic wellness, or you can even use the term well-being, if that makes more sense or resonates better with you, but that it's life changing, life and or career changing. So that's kind of wellness in its entirety. When we look at social wellness, and one of the things that stood out to me is the Surgeon General has this framework for workplace mental health and well-being. And really pretty cool framework, again, aligns really well with the 3 aspects or the 8-dimensional model that I tend to use. This is all great information for all of us. And the Surgeon General has recognized that the role that workplaces play in our lives, the overwhelming percentage of people who are seeking support for their wellness at work. And one of the more recent things that you find if you start looking at Surgeon General recommendations is this idea around loneliness and isolation, and just really connects with me and you and the work that we do and how isolating leadership roles can feel, which seems so backwards to people who are maybe not in those leadership roles, because we work with so many different people on a day-to-day basis, but it can be really isolating to be a leader. So this to me just really reiterates the importance of holistic wellness, targeting specifically social wellness. And when I think about athletic directors, 3 things come to mind with social wellness: networking, boundaries, and connection. And in terms of networking, we know networking in the athletic director role, always helpful for growth, development, learning. But thinking about the fact that if we create a good network, we have people we can bounce ideas off of, whether that be people who have more experience than us, or maybe people with fresh eyes coming into the field. Helps us to, when we're facing challenges that are new to us, can help us as athletic directors be reassured that we are not alone. We're not the first person in this position to deal with this issue, whatever it might be. And we can also really, through networking, set ourselves up with a support network for extenuating circumstances. You know, your gym floods and you've got a game coming up. Is there another school you could reach out to? All of those things can help us when we support, or when we're engaging with networking. That's part of our social wellness. The next thing are those boundaries. And as athletic directors, just such a complex job, knowing how valuable connections are, but also knowing what's appropriate in your role. Making sure that all your relationships are helpful with people, the people that you want close and the people that you need to keep like at a particular distance, so that you're not getting swept up by politics and or things that don't necessarily align with your values. Having clarity and consistency in terms of who you'll talk to and about what. And then it also helps social boundaries come into play when we're trying to maintain work-life harmony, doing things like maybe not answering emails on the weekends or late at night other than emergencies, or things like that you can do as an athletic director to create some boundaries. And then finally, and I'll wrap up pretty quick here, Jake, but social connection. We know that as humans, we need connection. Again, we know athletic directors are around people all the time, managing all sorts of relationships and interactions, but we need the connection with some greater depth, on a personal level, even things like hugs. Like there's just all sorts of relationship or research out there that shows that we need those social connections. We need to connect with others. Some things to consider with colleagues and coworkers: talking work when needed, but also making a deliberate effort to not always talk shop. I had some friends who we used to use this like yellow card, red card system when we would go out to happy hour. And if people started talking too much shop, we'd give a yellow card, but we would also, lovingly red card one another so that we could get back to just connecting on a personal level. And along those lines, so whether it's, and often I think with athletic directors and coaches, we're busy, and often the people that we have to connect with are the people that we work with. So just making space for that to be a personal and not just a professional connection. And then finally, making time to be with our loved ones outside of work. I know that you all are working long hours. You've got multi-day tournaments. You may be coming home late at night and regularly are the only one awake at your house. Like, I recognize that. But just making time to walk and talk with a friend, play games or do a trivia night, or go to a happy hour. If you can make it consistent, awesome. I know most ADs probably can't, but finding a time, working it into your schedule. We know when we have those great connections with the people we love, we come back feeling refreshed and alive, and it makes us better personally and professionally. And I think, when I think of social wellness, just really reminds me that time is all of our most valuable asset. And we want ADs to do the best in their work and also to take care of themselves, and to recognize that those things don't have to work in opposition, that they actually go hand in hand. So I'm on a mission, Jake. I'm on a mission to help people live more fulfilled lives, both personally and professionally. And we can do that. We have the resources available. We know we can help people with wellness. We just need to start with awareness, build some understanding, and help people to know their options. But a lot we can do out there. And I just think be awesome if ADs, spend a couple minutes and think about your social wellness, and don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You absolutely deserve it. So.
Boy, a ton of great stuff there. And number one, when people hear that word wellness, I think a lot of times they have, this preconceived notion from their background. Well, wellness, well, that's exercise. Well, that's nutrition. Well, that's stress management. And those are certainly components of, that old, this will show you how old I am, that old wellness wheel. But the social components that you discussed, just so critical. And then another thing you mentioned, you talk about time, you talk about scheduling. Who is better in the world at scheduling than athletic directors? And to be intentional about scheduling that social time with family, time with colleagues, time with friends. I love the yellow card, red card too. We actually, when you mentioned that, it just took me back. We had a football staff. I coached college football for a number of years. And our head coach, when we'd be meeting socially, if somebody started, drifting into the work mode, he would literally reach across the table, because typically, where were we? We're in a bar. He'd reach across the table, pull out a napkin, and go, "I'm throwing a flag on that," because he would direct us back away from those work-related things, because you have staff meetings for that. This was not that kind of staff meeting. Great stuff. I love it. And I love the passion too. If one of our listeners, and listeners, you got a tremendous resource here. One of our listeners wanted to find out more. Now, again, the book, Winning Well, it's on Amazon. How about Win-Win or Dr. Cara Cocchiarella? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, for our course, the best place to find the course is just going directly to the website, which is coachingwithwellness.com. And then for anything else, check out my website. It's win-win-consulting.com. So the course is pretty new. I've got to get it up on my website still, but both of those things are great resources to help support all of you out there who are doing this great work. And I would love to connect with any of you. So easy to connect with me through either of those websites, coachingwithwellness.com or win-win-consulting.
And Dr. Cara is also on LinkedIn, so check out for that. Yeah. And I'm going to make a public announcement here. Both of us, Dr. Cara Cocchiarella and Jake Von Scheer, we are both going to be presenting in April at the Oregon Athletic Directors Conference in Sun River. So mark that week on your calendars. Come and see both of us. We'd love to say hello to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Dr. Cocchiarella, as always, great spending time with you. All the best moving forward. One more time, let's give out that website. How do they find out more?
All right. Coachingwithwellness.com or winwin-consulting.com.
All right. And make sure you go to Amazon, check out the book, get a copy of the book, Winning Well. Winning Well is the name of the book. Dr. Cocchiarella, thanks again for spending time with us on Wednesday Wisdom. Let's make sure we don't have such a long time between segments next time. And like I said, all the best moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jake. Same to you.
For listeners, we do this every single week, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Of course, we appreciate you listening. Come back next Wednesday for another great segment, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, that was a lot of fun. But before we go, we do want to acknowledge our great sponsors. Again, these are companies that I used as an athletic director, and you should be using them too. Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an AD was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Just tremendous. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live demo to see their products in action. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing. It's the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Do I need to say anything more? Go to hometownticketing.com. Let their team help you start selling your tickets online, not just for athletic events, but concerts, school dances, school plays, even graduation. hometownticketing.com. We want to thank Home Campus, the exclusive high school and state association information platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for scheduling, for student athlete clearance and eligibility. We used it for that. Tremendous, tremendous tool. Go to homecampus.com and talk to their great staff. We want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will help you start to create world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. Your students are on social media, so are your parents. Gipper's a great way for you to look like a professional institution, sending out updates and other social media posts to celebrate your teams and athletes. Go to Gipper.com, mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. We want to thank Snap Mobile. It's a platform that has tons of different apps for you to use. We use Snap Raise. This is a fundraising platform that flat out works. They even will give you your funding before you actually start your fundraiser. Nobody else does that. Go to snapraise.com/EDAD to get started. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. Go to huddle.com, change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com to get started. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. And finally, we want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website, check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to showcase your school record boards for all the teams, for all the sports, or your school's Hall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Once again, mention the podcast, you'll get a nice discount. Thanks again for listening to this segment of Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.